All right. How do I want to do this here?
What's up, guys?
Oh man, I know I'm going to say welcome to Trailspin FM, but then we roll the logo.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, what's up, guys? It's Brandon. I know it's been a while. We have some catching up to do, but we'll save that for another episode. What this is right here is our new little podcast studio, and this is episode 1 of Trailspin FM. I figured the good way to start this off, since I know that I'm not the only one that's missed, is to bring my buddy Braxton on the show with me. So first episode, we're going to get caught up with Braxton, see what he's been up to, find out what the future is for Trailspin. So without further ado, Braxton, what's up, man? How you been?
I've been good. Surviving.
Yeah. So those of you that have still been keeping up with us know that Braxton just recently bought a vehicle, an Overland mobile TV / photo studio that he's building in his driveway in Florida.
Yep. It's taking forever.
You moved to Florida when? Like a year ago?
Yeah, so right now what's the date today? It's January 2021, and I moved back down to Florida right when COVID hit. I was back in the States on February 5th of 2020. So I moved back. I was back here in, February of 2020.
Right. And those that don't know, you were uploading some stuff to your own channel for a while. You were traveling while you went to like Croatia and Greece and then
Southeast Asia. Yeah, I traveled pretty much Southeast Asia for 6+ months. It was always a dream of mine. And I was trying to do the whole travel blogger thing. I have like 30, 35 episodes recorded, podcast episodes recorded with my girlfriend, but I haven't released any. I was really depressed that whole trip. I thought, I was trying to find my happiness. Like that was my biggest dream of going to Southeast Asia and traveling. And then I was there and I'm like, why am I still sad? So I kind of stopped the whole travel blogger thing and then kind of just almost took a vacation in a sense, kind of relaxed a little and trying to figure things out, started reading and stuff. So try to figure out my life in a sense, find myself.
What was the total amount of time that you spent traveling?
We left I think at the end of July of 2019. And then we officially came back February 5th of 2020. So that's 7 months, a little bit more than 6 months.
That's crazy. What did you do for money?
So I pretty much sold everything. I had a car. I had a bunch of film equipment. I sold literally everything. I only kept my cameras that I had to film what I needed to film, my computer, like just the bare necessities that I needed to travel. But everything else I just sold. And then we just figured out a budget and how much we want to spend. So we were spending in Southeast Asia, we were only spending about $1,000 per person a month to live out there. So that included everything that we did, food, lodging or hotel, whatever, all that good stuff.
Wow. So that's like a $14,000 stay.
Half of that, 7,000.
Oh, okay.
So
per
yeah,
person.
Me personally, it was about, it was probably more because like by the end of it, I was getting so tired of staying in crappy hotels and all of that. But yeah, it was around $7,000-8,000 that I did end up spending. And that was of course from all the money that I, all the stuff that I sold.
Do you think that you weren't happy or you weren't having a good time because you were too focused on trying to grow your channel and your social media stuff and trying to do the blogger thing and not really just kind of soaking it all in? Yeah,
it was definitely a weird kind of like mental shift. In the beginning, I think the first month, maybe 3 weeks, I was like, go, 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 go. We got to film this. And I almost like burnt myself out. And then I tried to scale back and then I just kept scaling back. And then it eventually me just pretty much stopping. The only thing I didn't stop was filming the podcast of what we were doing. But in the end, I was creating content and doing stuff. Like I was trying to vlog the whole thing. And I was just like, what am I doing? Like, who cares about this? Like, I'm eating street food again. Like, it just, it was fun, like editing the vlogs. It just wasn't me per se. I was just trying to do, I figured out the formula for to become a travel blogger. All you have to do is just, create articles of places to travel and all that stuff. Like I knew what to do. It just, I wasn't interested in taking the same photograph that everybody took already to put on their blogs. But then at the same time too, think I was, before even going into it, I think I was going through kind of depression, and I was being depressed, and it was kind of like a weird thing to deal with because I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever been depressed before. So I didn't really understand what the heck was going on, or it was like what my overall like goals were. Of course I had goals, but it was a big like mental fog of just, I don't know what is going on and just trying to figure it out. So
Yeah, I mean that sounds almost identical to the way I felt when I did the second trip. Like
yeah.
I was not in a good place mentally, and I was questioning my own decisions, and I started to regret the fact that I was there. And then not only that, but I was also I was trying way too hard to make sure that I was producing content for the channel, that I wasn't having a good time. Like I was just constantly I felt like I had the camera in my hand all the time. I was
Yeah.
jumping out, jumping in, and just trying to catch everything. And then I mean, I had hours and hours and hours of recordings every day just because I was just trying to record everything. And I was trying to make sure that I was just getting good stuff for the channel. And it took a lot of the fun away from it. And
Yeah. Yeah. That's like, of course everybody's going to ask me kind of like part of the reason why I left, and part of the reason was that exact thing. Cause like after the trip, after the Transamerica Trail, like sure I had fun, but then already like we're thinking about the Continental Divide, going on another big trip. And I'm just like, I was so just drained after that, of just going day in and day out, like hard and filming and editing. I was just like, I can't do this. And of course I shouldn't have left, but it was just, I was so overwhelmed that I didn't know how to handle everything that was going on. I needed like a break and a rest. And that's that. By the time the Continental Divide, that trip actually did come around, I was like, dang, kind of wish I would have went on that trip. But it was the fact that like literally right after like I got home, I'm receiving texts already trying to prepare for this next trip. And I was just like, I need to breathe. I just need to
yeah,
like relax.
yeah, I mean, I totally understood. And, like to try to fill the gaps. I remember, I don't know if you remember, but I did a couple meetups
Yeah.
where we did like a meetup in Wisconsin and we did a meetup in Kentucky, and just trying to keep the vibe of I mean, at least keep the momentum going. And it worked for a bit. So then like when I noticed that, all right, well, maybe I can try to keep up with this. I'll try to do the trip by myself. And, it was just so much more difficult
Yeah.
to focus on keeping yourself alive
Mhm.
on such, I mean, the second trip, the Continental Divide trip, was like,
It was even more brutal
I mean, it
than
made the Transamerica Trail look like a cakewalk. It
yeah.
was crazy how much more difficult it was and how much more abusive it was to the vehicles. And like, I mean, all the vehicles were breaking. I mean, that trip was just so much more grueling. And the entire time, like, I just was wishing that you were sitting in the passenger seat, like taking care of that end of it, even though knowing like how much work it is, it's just so much more work when it's just you. And then,
Yeah,
I had,
it's, I can't even imagine of what you had to go through trying to film all of that and trying to drive, just thinking about how much energy and time that both of us had to put just in the Transamerica Trail, and then you're trying to do it by yourself. Like I can't even, I have no idea.
yeah, I mean, the drone shots were difficult to say the least. But
Yeah.
I mean, just being on that type of terrain and then trying to capture like four vehicles, not just one vehicle, but four
Mhm.
vehicles all on the same track that you're on while you're driving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
While I'm in four low, literally crawling over rocks, I've got a controller in my hand, and then the visual of the drone up on the iPad on the dashboard, and just trying to steer both vehicles at the same time. It was crazy. It was intense, and it was really exhausting. And plus I wasn't in a good place. Like I said, I wasn't in a good place mentally. I still hadn't found work. I had gotten laid off after that Transamerica Trail trip. So like that kind of just just changed everything for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, I just figured I was like, well, why not just have one last hurrah? I feel like the Jeep had one more good trip left in it. You know what I mean? Before it was, I mean, it's severely crippled right now. I don't have the time or the energy to even keep the maintenance up on it. And we
Yeah.
drive it in the summer. Me and my wife will take it to like the ice cream stand and back with the top down, and that's pretty much it. But it's just a rattly piece of garbage right now, and it's I bought a Subaru, so now
Yeah,
I'm a
Subaru.
Subaru douche now, and it just kind of sits in my yard, and it's pretty much a really, really expensive toy that I'm still making payments on. So, but I get it. So speaking of the Transamerica Trail trip, I mean, I know that you were there with me the entire time, and that it's well documented how that trip was. But
Yeah.
and I remember you saying that you were going to spend some time before you were even going to go back and watch the series. Have you since gone back and watched the series from beginning to end?
I watched like half of it, and then I stopped. I don't know what happened. Like I going through it, honestly, like going through it and watching it actually makes me want to go back through, because I have all the raw footage. I honestly want to take all of that footage and turn it into like a movie. So
Yeah.
basically, like cut out all the we have since there were episodes. There's sure a lot of episodes that have a lot of like dead space, some things that I'm not interested, but maybe cut together something that's just like the Transamerica Trail. Kind of anybody can watch, because I've asked my friends like, oh, did you watch this? Because the first, I don't know, first like week and a half or 2 weeks of Transamerica Trail was, I don't know what's up with the Jeep. Jeep's broken. Like, that's what my friends said. They're like, yeah, well, you guys are just talking about like you were
Parts.
broke down. Yeah, parts
Yeah.
and stuff. And like, I don't want to watch it. And I was like, I completely understand. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
think I feel like that happens with my friends too. Like I'll
yeah.
ask people the same thing. They're like, "Yeah, I know. I got to like the third day," and I'm like, "Oh, well, it gets much better after the third day."
The one episode I've probably watched multiple times is the Engineer Pass one. I think that's
Same.
my favorite episode,
Yeah.
just because there's just so much in there, and that is like what overlanding to me is, just kind of exploring and all the things that we did, and just being on the side of a mountain and all of that. And
Yeah.
so that's typically what I send people of if they ask of what's going on, instead of and I was like, well, you can start from day one, but if you don't like car parts, you can skip around and stuff. But
Yeah, the
yeah,
impression I got for the people that did watch since the beginning was they were watching it more or less for our personalities and our
yeah,
dynamic together, rather than the whole even overlanding. They just liked our sense of humor. They liked that we were kind of keeping it real. And like my mom has watched it from the beginning multiple times,
right.
and my
Yes,
mother-in-law has watched it from the beginning multiple times, and
same
they
with my
always talk
mother.
about how much fun it is and all that. And that's just because they love us, right? Like it's
Right.
more or less that. But yeah, I was curious. I know that you have all the footage, and I was curious. And again, everybody that's listening that doesn't understand, Braxton and I really have not talked much at all since the
Yeah.
Transamerica Trail ended. I mean, we've talked on the phone a handful of times. He was busy traveling and all that stuff. So we're actually getting caught up with each other now, right as we record this. So I did kind of wonder if you had ever planned to put something more robust together, like using the footage and doing something more like a movie. And I've noticed that there's other channels like Rob from Revere Overland has done that, where he's gone on these big trips and he's put together episodes of the trip itself, and then at the end he'll put together a movie. And I think that's a really, really cool idea. I'm super stoked if you need my help.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, definitely. It's that's kind of part of me thinking on like what is Trailspin at this moment. Like obviously we're posting content now. Like I started posting content, but then I stopped. That's typical me. But I realized that people kind of didn't really like me trying to fix my Jeep. Like, we get it. Like, we get it, dude. Like, go on a trip already. But it's still I'm slow. I'm still learning at this stuff. But I think a cohesive just one however long video would be like really good to watch, instead of like daily. I can't believe like we daily vlogged the Transamerica Trail, and that's like the amount of hours of content that we have from that trip is just insane.
yeah.
And so that's kind of like part of me. I'm like, that'd be really cool to put together, but then I'm like, that's a lot. That's a lot of footage to go through. And you can take, the exported file that we uploaded to YouTube and chop that up. But I would much rather go through all of the raw stuff, because I may have cut something out that could make it in the next cut or whatever, in the bigger cut. And then also color grading, like really making it like a real professional piece. I was thinking about doing some like voiceovers, both you and I talking about the trip, or just like really make it like a quality piece,
Yeah.
which I think would be really cool. And I think that's
Yeah.
definitely something that I
Well, it's an
need to start
undertaking for
putting together.
sure. I mean, that's, just if you were to count all the hours of actual labor that you spent on the
Yeah.
Transamerica Trail itself. I mean, literally, if you were not sleeping, you were editing or you were filming. So I can only just imagine like all the footage that didn't make the cut for the daily episodes or whatever, or even probably sometimes you're probably just trying so hard to just put something together
Yeah.
that a lot of stuff probably got overlooked. And, we're just
Mm-hmm.
trying to put out the highlights of the day and stuff. And yeah, I do think like if we were to do like a movie, a lot of the like camera in your own face type vlog stuff would probably not need to be in there. You could tell the story with the narration. So, I mean, that's exciting. If you guys want to see Braxton put together a Transamerica Trail movie, just make sure you leave a comment down below.
Yeah. It's
We'll see
definitely
100,
something.
100 comments and he
Oh,
has to do it.
I honestly think I need to just, well, I recently got a new computer, so I'm still kind of like transferring things over. So I think I might start it and like kind of chip away at it. I just need to start the project to start going. But it is also kind of me trying to figure out what Trailspin's going to be, because it's hard running a YouTube channel. It's
Yeah.
hard putting out consistent content, and that's kind of one of my videos of me when I was fixing up the Jeep. I was just talking about, I give any props to people that even if you put a GoPro on your dashboard and you upload it, like that still takes time to like think
It's
about, oh, I
hours.
need to, yes, I got
Yeah.
to put batteries in the GoPro. I got to put like it's the amount of time and energy and effort that goes into actually filming a trip takes so much, just everything. And props to anybody that does that. So
Yeah. I
yeah,
think I had, it's cool that we're in contact again, and that we have kind of tossed ideas back and forth about what Trailspin could be in the future. And
yeah,
I had thought about doing a very transparent video for those that are curious about whether or not they think that we're like these high paid YouTube stars, or that we even made like ridiculous amounts of money when we were relevant and hot. The answer is no. We have not made a ton of money. I would say over the course of 2 years, maybe a few $1,000s. But if you were to do the calculations and figure out what that equals per hour, um, slave wages would
yeah,
be a nice change from what we're actually getting paid. So it's crazy to you really got to love what you're doing, and I feel like we do, but like it just gets to a point where like once you've done so much work and how much time it takes, it's tough to justify continuing to really try to keep putting content out there. I mean, I understand that if we were to quit our jobs and focus a good chunk, 10 to 12 hours a day, and do daily content and keep coming up with fresh ideas, that we probably could grow the channel to the point that it could support a life. But
yeah.
it's just such a big risk that there's never been a risk that I've been willing to take. And now that my life has changed a little bit, I got to be a little more careful about the decisions that I make. And I don't see any big trips in my future, at least for another couple of years. Those that don't know, I recently had a baby, like almost 6 weeks ago.
Brand
Baby
new.
baby Niall is now in the world, my son, and that's been a wild ride, and I'm focused on him. But it's nice to be able to do stuff like this and be able to still reach the people and talk to you guys, even and from the comforts of my own home. And so that's what I've been focused on. And so Braxton and I have got kind of had conversations about how we could take the brand that we've built and apply it to maybe some products or stuff that we would use. And I know Braxton is definitely working hard towards going on a trip. Do you have any ideas of like where you think you'll go once everything? So are you going to head up to Illinois real quick and just say what's up to your boy, or? There's
um,
there's absolutely nowhere to overland up here. So
yeah, I'm gonna go this. If you're looking at it, I'm gonna go all the way around, avoid all the flatland to get up there. I don't know. Hey, I could make a trip up there, but right now I have to get the Jeep capable of even driving out of Florida. Um,
is your studio falling apart?
yeah, the studio's falling apart. I had a little blue light on me, but now it's just white now. But I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I'm just trying to get the Jeep together so I can go on a trip. That's the main goal right now. Basically, what happened was that when I was filming me fixing up the Jeep, so I bought the Jeep for $5,000. I overpaid for that, but still, it's, you know, at least it was only like $5,000 and not like tens and tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars. I overpaid for the Jeep, so everything I switched out. I started working on it, and then it got to the point where I was out of money. And so I'm like, well, crap. But then I got not another job. I'm a remote photo editor. So I'm working as a remote photo editor, brand new job. And then during the holidays is when like things really picked up. And I had no time to work on the Jeep whatsoever. So that's why it's been delayed. But now I have some money, and now I'm working on the Jeep, and I hope to go on a trip real soon. But I keep saying that probably every single week. And then when I go to work on the Jeep, it's one thing after another. Something else breaks before I can
No
even
way.
get the first thing fixed.
No
So
way. Hashtag should have bought a Toyota. Thanks,
yeah,
man.
should have bought a Toyota. So yeah,
Or a
it's
Subaru.
honestly, I should have bought the Forester. Honestly, it's definitely it's actually hard to say. So I'm have mixed feelings on my Jeep. So I'm very happy that I did purchase. Like, it sucks that this Jeep has had to have so much work put on it, but I've also learned so much on how to like work on a vehicle. And now I'm super comfortable with working on my Jeep to where if I'm out somewhere and something breaks, like I probably will know what's going on or what the issue is and how to fix it. While, you know, if I would have bought a vehicle that was okay and I just had to change the oil and then I go on a trip and something breaks, and then I would have been like,
Yeah.
what? The thing is broke. I don't know. So I wanted to learn vehicles, and now I know how to work on my Jeep at least. And I'm very
Yeah.
curious. And working on this has made me want to get a Miata or something like that just to figure out other vehicles and stuff. So
Well, they're all pretty similar, and I
yeah,
know that you had talked about wanting to learn how to work on vehicles. And when we were
yeah,
broken down in Colorado, you definitely got your hands dirty and touched some stuff. And I've spoke to people that have watched the new episodes that are blown away by how proficient you've become so quickly. I know that's, we're both graduates of YouTube University, several degrees in that, and you can learn almost anything, if not everything.
yeah,
Whether it's operating any kind of piece of equipment that you've never used before or working on any kind of vehicle. And a lot of these vehicles are the same.
yeah,
I've been working on cars since I was a kid. No major overhauls or engine rebuilds or anything like that. But as far as like taking a new part and replacing an old crappy part, or even modifying some stuff. I mean, doing suspensions with the two suspensions I did on the Jeep. It was the first time I've ever touched suspensions, and you can figure it out. And especially you can
yeah,
figure it out when you have a video that you can watch. And I know that Chris Fix It definitely helped you with the brakes when you were working on those. And where you left off was that you were replacing the axles on your Jeep, and you're doing that in your driveway without a lift. And I know when we spoke on the phone the other day, you said that's pretty easy.
it's not that bad.
Yeah,
It's really not that bad. It's replacing axle. If you're swapping out the suspension, you're replacing the axle. That's what the axle, like the suspension holds the axle. So it
right.
really wasn't that bad. But it still sucked because I'm living in Florida. Actually, it was pretty cool during that time. But
So you're pretty much done with that.
no,
No.
yeah, no. Well, okay. So I had to replace the front axle because my pinion bearing or something within my differential was like giving like a weird growling noise, so it needed a rebuild. But it was a low pinion, and so I ended up just getting a new axle because it's a lot cheaper, and it's a high pinion. Put it on, did the ball joints, have new wheel, I have so much new stuff on this Jeep. New ball joints, new wheel bearings, put everything on together, and then go get an alignment. And then they said I forgot what it was called, my caster, my wheel, my front driver's side wheel is tilted out.
Yeah.
So that is a
Disaster or
signal of
camber. Yeah.
yeah, it's a sign of a bent axle, which sucks. But looking online, the only thing that it could do, it would be cause more tire wear. But what I did do was I repressed my ball joints, and I feel like it fixed it out a little bit. And I didn't have a proper, like the tool you rent from AutoZone, the ball joint press doesn't have like the Jeep ball joint press, because I have like an angled. I needed like a very specific tool to press them in properly, because I had to use like a piece. It was a whole process. Yeah. I'm going to probably repress them. I got my own ball joint press because they're good for pressing out U joints and all of that. And I'm going to do that. But I'm actually in the middle of, I need to replace my steering box. And I experienced my first death wobble a couple of weeks ago. And that's because I need to replace a bushing or my track bar.
So as far as it being your daily driver, it's your daily driver right now. You're driving it around.
I have been, but I haven't. I mean, because of COVID and stuff, I haven't really need to go anywhere. Right. If right now, I don't really feel comfortable driving it, because the thing I need to replace on my track bar is so bad now. I hit anything, I get the wobble. So I'm probably going to be doing that tomorrow, and then hopefully it's by that time something else is going to break, and then yeah. But that should be the last. That's the last. No, it's not. I don't even have my front drive shaft in right now, because I can't. I already stripped some bolts, putting it in the front drive shaft. So I need to figure out how to get those screws in there.
Yeah, I'm about to take mine out to figure out if that's what's causing. There's some cracking and popping sounds every now and then when I drive. There's a lot of rattling, and I'm pretty sure the U joint. I've never replaced the U joint. I've replaced the CV joint a bunch of times, and it probably could be replaced again. So
U joints are easy.
Yeah. Well, I usually just take it to the mechanic to do it, because like he charges me like $20 a U joint to press them or rip them apart and press them in and all that stuff. So I'm so fucking sick of working on that Jeep, man. I really am. And my new Subaru, my 04, my 04 Legacy is just so much fun to drive that, like, sorry guys, but it'll get fixed soon. Like Jeremiah just if you guys follow Overland Pioneers, shout out to Jeremiah down there. He's been doing big things. He just got a Gladiator recently. Yeah, I saw that. And he's got some mods coming, and he thought it'd be cool if I could go down there and shoot with him and, talk about how much I love the Clayton off-road suspension during the CDT trip. Shout out to you guys. Like, that suspension just kicks ass.
Yeah. How is that compared to, because you have that and Fox shocks, right? Like you have a whole upgraded system compared to what we were riding in before.
It is an absolute nightmare when the Jeep is empty. I mean, and I'm sure it's causing all of the problems that I'm having now. Is just, it's way too stiff. But when I have like hundreds, if not thousands of pounds of payload on the Jeep, it is baby smooth, man. It really is like, it's a dream. I mean, the way the Jeep handled that CDT trip, considering the ridiculousness of the terrain. I mean, I will forever be grateful to them for working with me on that, and I will always be an advocate for their suspensions. It was just night and day. I mean, I'm not even going to bother mentioning the one that we replaced, because it doesn't even deserve to be mentioned in the same sentence. But yeah, no squeaks to this day. Everything that is involved with the suspension is still rock solid. No squeaks, no rattles, no anything. It's been super low maintenance, and actually I had maybe suspected that there was a rattle coming from one of the control arms, because I got underneath and I was kind of hitting things with a rubber mallet because I was trying to chase down rattles, and it felt like maybe one of the control arm bushings might be a little worn out. But I contacted Clayton Off-Road, and they got back to me within 5 minutes, and they were basically like, try this, try that. If that doesn't work, we'll send you all new stuff. So shout out to Clayton Off-Road. You guys are the shit. And, we've said that many times on the show. let's figure out something else to talk about besides our Jeeps, because that's obviously a touchy subject for both of us. I'm gonna have a sip of some whiskey. I thought maybe during these episodes, I could try, because I'm such a big advocate of bourbons and whiskeys, that I could try different whiskeys on the show. What I'm going to sip on right now is something called Three Rangers. If you guys haven't heard of this, they are three Army Rangers that were involved in the Battle of Mogadishu, which is what the book Black Hawk Down is based on, and movie. And these guys that started this whiskey company, where proceeds actually go to benefit the some military charities. They started a whiskey company, and on one of the trips for Aaron Brown, when we were down there, when I was down there shooting some racing stuff with them, they brought these guys out and they did a big speech, and they had this whiskey there. It is absolutely incredible. I've tried probably personally 70 to 100 whiskeys,
Dang.
and this is my absolute favorite.
Wow.
Yeah, which is saying a lot. And it's a rye whiskey. And I'm not normally a rye guy, but this stuff is buttery smooth. It is like so good. So cheers. If at home, if you're watching this, or if at home you're listening to this, feel free to pour something for yourselves and enjoy. Braxton doesn't drink, so.
I don't.
Oh, that's so good. So, let's see. What else could we talk about? We were going to give ourselves 3 hours to do this.
How long has it been? Probably not even an hour.
33 minutes.
Dang. All right. Let's see. I was thinking of writing a list down of stuff, but I never got around to it because I was like, because like we were testing this whole podcast setup a couple of days ago, and I had so many questions to ask at that moment, but now that we're live, I'm like,
and we did we talked well over an hour.
Yeah.
And then we recorded about a half an hour.
Yeah.
We couldn't stop talking. We thought this, like, by the way, like, this is our first time really kind of testing this out, this podcast setup. We found if you're curious to know how we're doing this, we're using something called riverside.fm. It's a website that allows you to do video podcasts remotely, and up to 16 guests and stuff like that with call-ins and stuff. So we're testing it out. We're giving it a run for its money, so to speak. There are some things about it that we weren't happy with, and we're hoping those things resolve themselves this time around. But for the most part, it seems like it's working pretty well. And that allows Braxton and I to kind of talk as though we're in the same room, using our real cameras and using real microphones and stuff like that. So that's how we're pulling this off. We hope to have some guests going in the future. I'm planning on reaching out to several people to see if we can kind of get some guests on here. Otherwise, it's just going to be me and Braxton rambling to each other about different topics. I plan on maybe doing some product reviews, and him and I talking about some of the stuff that we used on the Transamerica Trail that we really haven't like addressed, like how happy or sad I've been about the roof rack or by tailgate or like things like that. So hopefully we'll be able to talk about those things and touch on how they affected our lives on the trail. But I guess speaking of the Transamerica Trail, were there any like highlights, like looking back, like just in your head, but not so much on the episodes? Like, what would you say were maybe two things that were awesome or made you happy, and then one thing that made you absolutely miserable?
Some things that made me happy during the Transamerica Trail, it was probably just seeing, like, there were times where I was out there and I'm like, this is in my country? Like, this is in the United States? Why hasn't anybody told me this? Like, why have I been traveling out of the United States? Like, a lot of the cool stuff I haven't seen in here. Like, where were we? We were in Utah, in the desert, like just seeing of all the different colors, like right after Moab.
Yeah. I remember we kind of bounced around the desert looking for that like sand dune or something, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was an awesome day. I know exactly what you're saying too. The colors of Utah have always kind of struck me as like so unique. like, and so different. And then that same thing, like I've always kind of looked at it like this exists. And I've talked to so many people who have never left their hometown,
Yeah.
let alone their state, that have no idea that that's even out there. And to see it in person is like just mind blowing.
Yeah, it's seeing through the video, of course, like I can remember of exactly what it looks like, but it's also kind of like a feeling. Like I always explain this, if you've been to the Grand Canyon, like you see pictures, it's like, yeah, there's just a big hole in the ground. But then actually being there is just like, you just feel different, if that makes any sense. Like it's just, you just got to go and see this kind of stuff, really.
I remember you saying that in the videos about New Mexico when we first got done with all the flat stuff and we got
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
Oklahoma. And then when we finally got to New Mexico, like, and we got out and we kind of talked to each other, like outside the Jeep. And we were just like, wow, like you have to come see this. There's no other way to
Right.
kind of, it doesn't matter. We can do the coolest episodes in the world, or we can make it look as good as possible on camera. But like you said, it's not the same as actually standing there and experiencing it in person.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. All right. What's another good thing?
Another good thing, I have to like really think about this trip. When was this trip, by the way?
It was 2 years ago.
2? I feel
Yeah.
like it was
Well,
longer than that.
almost. Yeah, almost 2 years ago because
Yeah, that's
like
right.
as of this April, it will have been 2 years ago. 2019, wasn't it? Was it 2018?
2018. Had to have been 2018 because I traveled Southeast Asia in 2019. And
Wow.
then I was in
No
Chicago
way.
only for 10 months. Yeah, it's 2018.
Wow. So almost 3 years ago.
Okay. Another good thing I would say was just kind of like the community within, like people that were willing to help on, besides the trolls, of course, on the Facebook groups and stuff. But like Aaron, of how quickly he responded to when we posted something. Like it was the first day. The first day
Yeah.
we were having issues.
And I think the
And
first post in that group, I mean, I don't think we had even really posted
no,
anything
yeah,
in that group before.
yeah. I remember it was Transamerica Trail day 1 ... And it was like the tire, something was wrong. So it was a video. It was a video. It was a post to get people to comment on the post,
Yeah,
basically.
it was a
And
picture of me laying underneath the Jeep, like a
yes,
super wide lens, like shot of me laying under the Jeep. And yeah, we were having issues we had a rattle and we had a suspension overload problem, and
yep,
we posted about it, right? And then Aaron got back to you nearly
yeah,
immediately. I think of in a comment in the actual on the post, right? Did
yeah.
he message you individually? Did he
I don't
message us?
remember something. We got in contact with him somehow.
Yeah, and that was life saving because honestly, I feel like if he hadn't reached out to us and we weren't able to use the connections that he had or been
That
able
Jeep
to
would have
use his
been
garage,
left on the
yeah,
side of the mountain or
yeah,
on the
or I
road.
would have spent like way more money and we would have wasted so much time in the beginning. And I
Yeah.
remember that was like some of the first hater comments we got, and we still get them to this day, guys. If you have no idea, but people still leave comments today. Well, you didn't figure all this stuff out before you left. Well, no, we didn't, because we didn't know what we were doing.
Because this is Trailspin
And
TV.
yeah, I mean, I towed all of the gear out in a little mini U-Haul trailer from
Yeah.
Illinois to New York. And
Yeah.
so I didn't know what it was going to happen when I loaded it onto the Jeep. And now we know, but
Mm-hmm.
it's all right. It ended up working out just fine. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because I will say that meeting Aaron has been very like beneficial to me. Aaron and I are now great friends. I've done work for Aaron. He was instrumental in when I first got back from the second trip, and I started a videography business, basically based around real estate and based around drone photography and videography, but a videography company nonetheless. Aaron was one of the first people to hire me to come out to North Carolina and do some video stuff at his shop. And he's always been super supportive. And it's been great. I've made a lifelong friend because of having issues with the Jeep. And just because we went on the trip, we had something to relate to, that he had done the trip himself in the past. And that ended up being a wealth of information, and it's truly been a great friend ever since. So I would say that if I had to pick a couple things, the relationships that we've built since going on that trip have been awesome, and the community has been awesome. And that's one of the things I miss the most about putting content out on a consistent basis and putting videos out, was even when you started putting videos out recently, to see some of the people that used to comment on our stuff all the time kind of pop back up
Yeah.
and still be supportive and still be positive, has been fantastic. And I think that that's definitely a motivate, a driving force to, if I ever was to say, you know what, I'm going to get back into this. I'm going to put a 4-inch lift on my Subaru and go
Yes.
try to hit some trails again. The community, the positive side of the community has definitely been a driving force. I will say that the negative side of the community has, for people like me, some people can shrug that kind of stuff off, but for me, it's actually been super negative. It contributed to a lot of the depression and stuff that I've had over the years, and it's contributed to a lot to why I haven't been putting out new content. It's not so much a fear of people talking shit, but it is definitely kind of, I mean, you and I talked about this on the Transamerica Trail when the negative comments started rolling in, why we were focused so much on the negative comments and not so much on the positive comments. Even if it was like 100 comments and one of them was bad, you and I would take time and energy and away from ourselves and focus on those comments and try to figure out what we were doing wrong.
Yeah.
But
Just because one person.
yeah, it's funny because I still to this day, almost 3 years later, can remember most of those negative comments, but I don't remember a lot of the positive comments.
Right.
Um,
It's a
and so
very,
as somebody
it's,
like me, who's kind of, I'm super introverted in real life, and Braxton, I think you kind of are too.
yeah, I am.
It's weird to have people say like, wow, you guys are so great. You guys are so outgoing and you're funny and you're high energy and all this stuff. And like, I don't see that because that's not how I feel. And to have people kind of like leave shitty comments is kind of like, I don't know, like it's just being an empath and being an introvert. It kind of makes me pull back, and it's been hard for me to kind of motivate myself to do videos. I recently, a year ago, I got a hanger, an airplane hanger, and I had bought a bus at the end of the second trip. No, before I left for the second trip, I bought this bus, and I still have it, and it's still sitting in this airplane hangar. And I went in there like 6 times over the past year, and I've ripped it apart. I didn't film any of it. I went live one time on YouTube and said, "Hey, this is what I'm working on. Can't wait to show you guys more." And then just never did. And I still never got anything done on the bus. But I don't know if it's because I really, really, really wanted to film it and document it, and because I didn't film it and document it, I didn't end up working on it, or if maybe I just don't have the motivation, or maybe I'm just in the back of my head still too depressed to get projects done. I mean, I have so many projects that it's ridiculous. But when I do kind of sit around and think about why am I not putting out content, a lot of the times I'm like, because the haters, like, because honestly, like it just takes so much gas, it takes so
Take the
much
fun
wind
out
out
of
of
it.
your sails, yeah, to just have these people be like shitting on your work when like you said before, it is a ridiculous amount of work to even just
Yeah.
put out one video. And then everybody's like, oh, we want it well produced and this and that and whatever. And it's like, okay, when we're going to go out and buy like a $450 slider because I don't have anybody filming for me, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
wanted to make it look cool and all that stuff. And so if anybody's wondering kind of why I haven't been putting out content, it's really just because it took the fun out of everything for me. It's not why I started doing this in the first place.
Yeah.
I did not decide to do the Transamerica Trail because I wanted to start a YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely kind of like a huge mental it's a very weird feeling. You can get millions of views, hundreds and thousands of comments that say you're amazing, and you have one comment that say this video is trash, you suck. And you read that and it's just like it feels like your dog just died. Like
Yeah.
it's like it's just like I've like failed this person. Like it's a very weird toxic mindset to get yourself into, and that's the huge struggle with being a YouTuber and trying to post content on YouTube, especially with trying to create content, because you have to have fun. Like the reason why you're doing like the thing that you're doing is because it's fun, and then you want to document it, but then sometimes documenting it takes the fun out of it. But then it's like it'd be awesome to show, but it's like I it's a weird balance to try to figure out.
Yeah.
of course, if you have somebody else there filming for you, it takes things off your back and you're able to focus on different things. But just trying to film like your own content is just, it's a huge mental struggle,
Yeah.
internal struggle to figure out is you're trying to think about the shots. You're trying to think about like, is this a good story? Is this a good video? Are people going to like it? Am I doing this for a good cause? Like, I don't know. It is a very weird thing. And I feel like if you haven't experienced it, I don't even know what something similar like that can be like.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, it's not easy. I mean, it's part of it's, I don't know. I guess that's where the term labor of love comes from. Like, I mean, you have to love being the documentarian, and
Yeah.
you have to love being the public figure in order to love having a YouTube channel that's about doing something that you enjoy.
Right.
And for me, it was never that, you know what I mean? And, you know, as the channel built, like as it grew, like during the first trip, and then it continued to grow after the trip was over. And then just being like somebody who's like don't want to be in the public eye. I go out of my way to not even, I can't stand being in a grocery store, let alone knowing that millions of people have seen me, you know what I mean, or know my name or know my face. And it just like, I'm a private person. So like, it starts to get very overwhelming and kind of scary.
Yeah.
Like going to the expos and stuff and having people come up to me and talk to me like they like, I mean, they know us, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they feel like they know us, and
Yeah.
I don't know who you are. So
Mm-hmm.
like, it's super uncomfortable for me. It's not a position that I like enjoy being in. I don't like small talk anyway. I'm not the kind of person that likes just random small talk about the weather or anything like that
Yep.
anyway. I like deep conversations. And so that stuff it just drove me away, to be, if I'm being honest, like the thing that drove me away from wanting to just keep a YouTube channel going was that it's not what I ever wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm thankful that it did happen, because learning from you, you know, on the trip, and learning how to use a camera and stuff like that, and then just thinking like a filmmaker has enabled me to have a business that of doing that for other people.
Right.
I like being behind a camera. I like being behind a camera a lot. And I've been getting a lot more into photography more recently, and I find it to be just tons of fun. But there is nothing in the back of my head that goes, you know, you should really teach people how to use a camera,
Yeah.
because I don't want to be on a screen anymore. And you know, this podcast stuff, like once we decided to do this, I was like, well, that's fun, because that's just me having a conversation with somebody. There happens to be a camera there. I'm not trying to like do crazy like camera angles and tricks, and you know, I don't have to focus on flying a drone or anything like
Yeah.
that. Just you're just sitting down and talking to people. So yeah. So I don't know if you guys are going to get like a whole lot of like crazy content out of me in the future, unless, you know, there has been times where I've thought like, man, maybe if Trailspin wasn't just all about overlanding and off-roading, that I'd be
Yeah.
a little more motivated to kind of put stuff on there that, you know, just maybe it doesn't have anything to do with that stuff. If you guys like me as a person and you would like to want to see content that doesn't have anything to do with that stuff, like, I guess let us know. Same thing with Braxton, and Braxton's into stuff that has nothing to, I mean, I'm still kind of blown away that you bought that you ended up buying a Jeep.
A Jeep?
Yeah. Because I know that you were like looking for Land Cruisers, and I know that you know, you've had eyes on Subarus. You'd always talked
Yeah.
about getting a Forester, or like a Forerunner, like an old Forerunner or
Yeah.
something like that. And when you told me that you bought the vehicle, I was just like, what? Like, you're still thinking about, you know what I mean? Like, you're still thinking about doing that. You're still considering like doing an overlanding trip. I think I mean, I think it's amazing. And I actually can't wait for you to go. And I wish I could go with you. Um,
Well, I
but
would say it's definitely like overlanding was like a big part of my life, and like I loved doing it. And I always knew that I would always have a vehicle, regardless if I was still posting stuff on Trailspin or not. Like I've always wanted a vehicle to be able to go and do that kind of stuff, because it was fun. And I loved just kind of being out there and like going and exploring. Like I love that kind of stuff. Part of the reason why I went with Jeep was the Toyotas were too expensive. the Forerunner was, it was my top choice, but then there was so many videos for the Jeep, for the Cherokee specifically, that I was like, this is going to be easy. Like,
Yeah.
this is a no brainer. And then I felt like this was going to be my last opportunity to be able to own the Cherokee. The Cherokee was like one of my favorite vehicles. And so like now they're all rust buckets, and they're dying out. And so I was like, I just have to get it. I just have to, because like this is a dream car of mine. This is gonna be the last, unless I make a lot of money and I buy a used one that's done up real nice. And then I was just like, yeah, let's.
It is pretty, man. Like,
I'm actually gonna be like uh giving it a real nice wash to like revive the paint, to get like
yeah,
to make it like deeper black, get a nice shine on it and stuff. Of course, it's gonna be
yeah.
covered in dirt, but
Before you scratch it up,
yep,
good
exactly.
idea. Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's
You gonna do a video on how to detail a black vehicle? Because
Well, see, that's the whole issue with like, since it's weird for me to like how to detail a black video, how to detail a black vehicle, but I've never detailed a black vehicle. So learn from my mistakes. It just felt
yeah,
weird for me because it's hard to film, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what angle am I going to film? Like, what am I going to do
yeah,
with this? So it's all been, I bought the Jeep for me, in order for me to learn vehicles, in order for me to learn all of that stuff, and then trying to think of different stuff to create around it. But I think I'm going to be more focused on like gear and can't, like stuff that I can actually put a valid input on. I can't really put an input on like film me swapping out the axles. It's literally just going to be me screwing things up the whole time, and filming that stuff takes so much time, because like most of the time it's me just sitting there looking at my phone, looking at a tutorial, and then trying it, then screwing up and looking at another tutorial of something that I broke.
yep,
So that's why I've kind of like stopped filming myself trying to do fixes on Jeeps that I don't know how to do yet. But thinking about all the content that we create, like now that you've gotten into film, like it's kind of, I've have a bunch of ideas that don't even really involve us being on camera. Like it, in terms of creating like these epic films set like kind of catered around overlanding, but it's like a film or a cool like video per se.
yeah. It's a good
Um,
idea. I mean, didn't we? So we've kind of mentioned this before, and towards the end of the first trip, that we thought it'd be cool if Trailspin TV was a mobile film production
yeah,
that's in a capable vehicle that literally could follow anybody anywhere. Um,
yeah,
and then if people needed like a couple camera guys to kind of run their YouTube channel or document their trip or anything like that, that we would kind of be those people. I think that at the time it felt like the video, like it felt like overlanding YouTube channels were the hot, like it was like the hot thing, or like having like a dope Instagram
yeah,
with your Forerunner parked on the side of Engineer Pass. Like that was the thing to do. I don't know if it still is, because if I'm being honest, I just kind of unfollowed most of the stuff. I just got so sick of the whole overlanding. I got so sick of the word, like, you know what I mean?
hmm,
When I was doing the live streams and it was called overlanding, overlanders, or overland, I was just like, I'm like, enough already. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, hopefully this tricks the algorithm and I get tens of thousands of views because every type of overland is in the title, and it didn't
yeah,
work out that way. And I was just like, you know what, this it's a gimmick, or it's a trend, right? and
yeah,
and I've been through several types of trends before that I was involved in, and things that I've stuck with, and I still thoroughly enjoy camping. I still thoroughly enjoy bringing my Jeep to the sand dunes, and with my wife, and we'll go hang out by the lake and hit the dunes with the Jeep, and drive home. You know what I mean, on the highway, on pavement,
hmm,
because it's nice, because it's smooth.
hmm.
I get good gas mileage on the highway. Like,
Oh, I
um,
don't.
dude, by good I mean like 9.8 miles a gallon. Like that's a good day for me.
Oh Lord.
If my tires are inflated, I might get 10 and a half. And I just, like the whole, it just felt gimmicky to me. And again, like when we started this, it wasn't our thing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I did not consider us overlanders. I
yeah,
I used to throw the term around when I first was getting involved, and I was a member of Overland Bound, and I was active in the forums, and I was trying to give my 2 cents, like I was somebody just like everybody else in there, and you know what I mean. And I really felt involved, and I was like, this is a new thing. And then now there's like, I was member like 2,700 something, and now there's tens of thousands of
Wow.
Overland Bound members. And I actually got thoroughly annoyed the other day when somebody was posting in the new members forum, on the like new members thread on their forum, and I was getting notifications like every like 35 seconds for like hours. And I was like, what
Dang.
the hell? And I went in and I logged in and I unsubscribed, and I was just like, get me out of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Michael, you're cool, I guess. Overland Bound, you're all right, but I'm just over it. You know what I mean? And so like when you think of it that way, it's really tough to kind of pick a direction for a channel that was originally based on a certain subject or certain topic. Like how do you stay relevant as a channel that's originally based on overlanding and continue to do what you enjoy and still keep your fan base or expand your fan base, like when maybe it's not going to have anything to do with overlanding, maybe it's just going to be like product reviews and vehicle repairs. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, like a mobile film studio would be awesome. If anybody out there thinks that there's like a market for that, or you have the money, because I don't think Braxton and I would be very cheap at this point. um I charge a lot of money for what I do now, and like
Yeah,
I
that's
don't,
good. That's
if
good.
somebody wanted to be like, oh, I'll give you a couple $100 and we'll feed you. I mean, I can't believe you did what you did when you did it, because I know that it took you away from your work, and that was a big risk. And I know that when you got back, you were kind of struggling. Like, didn't your landlord like give your apartment to somebody else? And then like all your music video like customers were moving on to other people and stuff. I mean, you just kind of,
I mean, it was definitely like since in video and stuff and photography, like as a business, you can't just disappear for a month and a half or something like that and then expect to get all your clients back. Like your clients are gonna be like, hey, can you do shoot a video? Like, hey, I'm not gonna be here for a month. They're like, all right, well, I'm gonna find somebody else.
yeah,
So it's definitely it was difficult trying to rebuild my business and rebuild my brand. And that's what I kind of went back into music videos and then traveling Southeast Asia, of course. And that's part of the reason, like part of the reason why I went to Southeast Asia is because I was shooting a music video and I had like 7 guns just being pointed at me in the camera. Like I shoot hip hop and rap music videos, and it's like 1 a.m. and I'm thinking to myself the whole time, I'm like, I can't do this the rest of my life. Like this is not sustainable whatsoever.
yeah,
So like I need to figure something else out. And it kind of Southeast Asia was kind of like a break. Like, let me do the travel blogger thing. And that wasn't the thing. Thankfully now I have like a dream job, which is a remote job, and I'm just a photo editor. But now that gives me the time and flexibility to kind of figure out now what else can I do? What else do I want to do? And honestly, part of that is I was going to bring this up. Part of it is this was 8 months ago when I shared this to you, and I kind of stopped, but I'm trying again for like the 100th time. Is I'm getting into music, like music production, just because I love music so much, and just trying to make sounds and stuff. And that's like another thing that I want to get into. And I'm the kind of person that I like to try anything and everything. And that's what's so hard for me to have like and I understand like to have a YouTube channel that is so specific to overlanding. You got to like live, die, and breathe overlanding for the rest of your life. And I'm like, I like I want to do some other things for like, a little bit, to take a little break for a little bit, kind of a thing. So I completely
yeah.
understand where it's it's like I understand overlanding. Like I get it. Like it's fun, but I can't, like I don't wake up and think overlanding. Like I just, but I don't wake up and think like the same exact thing every day.
Right.
So
Yeah, I'm the same way. I love getting my hands dirty, and I love trying new things. And overlanding was that new thing 3 years ago, so
Right.
I've moved on. Like now I wanted to do a schoolie conversion. I wanted to convert a bus into an RV, like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then when I had the airplane hangar, I was like hanging out at the airport all the time. So I was like, oh man, wouldn't it be cool to get like a pilot's license and buy a plane?
Yep.
So like, I like that we have a reach, you know what I mean? With
Hmm.
Trailspin, we have a fan base, and if you, we're, what are we, just a little over an hour right now. If you're still listening or you're still watching, would you be okay with Braxton and I using this platform to like just talk about other stuff? Because like, honestly, I mean, to have a vehicle that needs thousands of dollars worth of work before I can even go on another trip. And Braxton has obviously spent thousands of dollars getting his vehicle up to snuff to do a trip. And then feeling the demand of like people being like, well, you better film the trip. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
better see some episodes of your trip. Like,
Yeah.
I would love to take it. I mean, I kept saying to my wife, like, if I go on another trip, I'm not filming it. And
Yeah.
I need to do that. And I did go on a couple camping trips. Then I didn't film any of it. And I had a blast because it just brought me back to like, okay, this is why I started doing it. But like,
You don't
again,
have to
like,
work.
yeah, there's all these projects. There's always like stuff that I want to tinker around with, but I've seen people like take their channel name and they change it to something different. And then they just lose like thousands of subscribers that are just like, well,
Yeah.
that's not why I'm here. You know what I mean? But I feel like our channel is unique in a way that really people follow it because it's us, less so
Yeah.
much that it's about that we have Jeeps or it's about that we go overlanding. I feel like our personalities and our just who we are as people, but people are fans of that. So you can leave comments below. Go ahead and, can you leave comments on podcasts? Well, if you're listening, just think about it
On
to yourself.
YouTube.
Yeah. But on YouTube, if you're watching this, like, just leave a comment and let us know, like, when we're just tinkering around or just messing around, like, the other day I was like trying to work on replacing a processor in like a really old laptop. And I was like, oh, this would be cool. Like, couldn't find any videos online of
Yeah.
anybody like trying to do that. Would you give a shit? Or, like, I felt like filming it. And then I was like, you know what? Nobody cares.
Yeah. It's definitely, with it, with the YouTube thing, it's like, of course, everybody's like, you got to have a specific niche. Like you do ASMR videos and that's the only thing you do. And that's how you're going to grow and all of that. But in the end, it's just like, you got to have fun. Like if we are successful now outside of Trailspin, and now we can just kind of, what I was thinking of Trailspin now is almost using it as a creative outlet.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's like a personal project, like let's make like a cool video. I have this idea and I'm going to put it out just because I like doing it instead of like, I got to put like, crap, I only have 2 videos in the archive right now. I need another video that needs to be released for Trailspin. Like, what do I do? What do I make? Like instead of forcing a video kind of a thing.
Right. Yeah. Because even when I was like thinking about doing the schoolie conversion, I was like, if I film this and I put it on the channel, is anybody going to give a shit? Because this is not overlanding. This is me turning a bus into an RV, which, has its own fan base and has its own niche. And is the YouTube algorithm even going to show anybody the fact that we did a video, because it's going to scan the video and realize it has nothing to do with any of the stuff that our normal videos are about.
Yeah.
And that was it's just another roadblock. Like, it's one of those things where I'm just like, creatively, I'm like, is it worth it? Because it is it does take so much time and energy.
Yeah.
Is it worth it to go back and film it and to spend all this time editing and making it look good and making making it feel fun and having the energy on camera, which like is way harder for me to do when it's just me. Like, I can't fake that. Like, I can't be like, hey, it's me. And I tried it one time. I did it with the review of the little battery pack thing, the Jackery thing. I was like, it was like 1:00 in the afternoon. I had a couple of drinks. Don't judge me. I had the urge, you know what I mean? I was like, let me go out in the garage and let me just knock this out of the park. So I was trying to be goofy. I had fun with it. And I feel it's one of my favorite videos because like, I was like, all right, I was feeling it, you know what I mean? And I did some, I didn't take myself too seriously. And but then it was still like that's got more thumbs down than any other video on our entire channel. I don't understand why. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I didn't actually review it. I plugged a bunch of dumb shit into it and just tested to see if it was going to work or
But
whatever.
that's what I love, because I was like, I want to know if it can run like, of course
Yeah.
I'm not going to just use this battery just for my rig. Like, can it run a TV? Like, what other uses can I use it for? And I loved how you just like, let's just plug this in. Does it
Dump
work?
it out of the box.
Yeah. And that's I think is like was the pure spirit of Trailspin too. Is it
Yeah.
just like, just do it, just try it and see what happens. And
Yeah. My best friend back in New York, shout out to Joey if you're listening. We had a conversation one night, and it was pretty recent too. And we were camping. We were out in Sandusky, Ohio. We were going to go to like the amusement park out there, but it's basically exactly in the middle of like where I am and where he is. And we just decided to meet halfway and hang out. And he was like, he wanted to have a serious conversation about where do I get off, or where do I find the balls to like just do this trip? You know what I mean? And you know, I've always been kind of curious about how, I mean, I remember in my head how you became involved, but
yeah,
I don't understand. I don't always understand why. You know what I mean? Like, how do you just stop what you're doing and just decide that you're going to go on this trip with a stranger? Or from my angle, how do I just stop what I'm doing and just take this trip? Like, just have the guts to like just jump in a Jeep and like take a 6-week trip and go into unknown terrain and all this stuff. And you try to plan it as best as you can, and I've always just kind of been the same way about life in general. Maybe not always, but there was a certain point where I hit a turning point where I was just like, you know what? Life is short. And if there's anything that you feel like you need to do, or you're just going to be miserable, then you need to get out there and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell him all the time, like he's always said like a dream of his, like, is to go down to Chile, jump out of a helicopter with a snowboard and snowboard the mountains. He's always wanted to do it. And I was like, well, what's stopping you? At the time, he's like, he's like, well, I have a dog. Who's going to watch my dog? Like, I'm like, come on, dude. Like, your dog,
yeah,
your mom's going to watch your dog, or anybody can watch your dog. I mean, this isn't going to take long either. We can go down to Chile. It'll take a few days. We'll be home. You know what I mean? And so I told him the last time I talked to him, I was like, I still want you to do this. And I promise you that if you tell me that a year from now you're going to do it, I will spend that year getting my helicopter license, and I'll fly the fucking helicopter and drop you out of the helicopter myself.
yeah.
Now he was like looking at me like, yeah, right. I'm like, dude, you know me.
Yeah.
You know that I would do this because why not? You know what I mean? Like, it's an expense, sure. It's going to take time, sure. But when you have, like, to me, like when I have a goal and there's something I want to get done, and I'm just bullheaded about it. Like,
yeah,
once I have my mind made up, I'm going to do it. And so that's how we ended up. I mean, that's why you just making that decision. You made the decision, I made the decision, and we're friends now. And we had an awesome adventure together, and we started this movement. You know what I mean? And now we have tons of people that follow us just literally because we had the nuts to do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and if anybody's listening right now, if there's anything that you think that you should do, and I know that a lot of people have said that we've motivated them to do things. Have you done it? Like, post below and let us know. Did you act on it? Like, when you back, you said, oh, this is so inspiring, and I can't, we're going to do it ourselves. Like, did you do it? I hope that you did, but
yeah, I think part of it, like the reason why we mesh so well is because, I mean, like I never really, like, to me saying this is weird, but it's just like, we're both Aquariuses and we both like have the same personality. If we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it. And if somebody tells me, it's like, yeah, right. I'm like, watch me, like if somebody tells me I can't do it or whatever, like that gives me even like more energy to like prove them wrong. Like, and that's just our personality. And it's hard for me to understand kind of like other people where they're just, people will make up excuses for anything, the reason why they can't do anything. But I mean, you just got to do it. Like, if you're trying to go do something, you really want to do something, you just got to do it. And like you said, life is too short. Honestly, it's just, and that's I'm 28 years old. I'm unmarried. Or I'm not married. I don't have a child. Like, I see people with, I'm not saying this is bad, but I see people that are like 20, 21 years old getting married and having kids. And I'm just like, I haven't lived my life yet, or I haven't done the things in my life that I want to do. How do I explain this? Basically, if I were to have a kid, I would have like, I'm going to put all my time and energy into that kid. Like I'm going to make sure I'm completely there for that child, but I'm not ready yet. I want to do different things in order to and achieve different goals and stuff like that before I start like trying to build a family.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm 40 years old.
Yeah.
Actually next week turning 41, and I just
Happy
had
birthday.
yeah, thanks, man. Just had actually, when is your birthday? Like
The 9th.
what is it? 13th, the 9th?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's the 4th. So happy early birthday too. I probably won't talk to you before then, but
Fine then.
yeah, I think and it's not like I waited on purpose. You know what I mean? It's not like I was like, well, I have stuff to do. It's just the way life works out for me anyway. You know, we can get into whole like, yeah, you mentioned the Aquarius thing. Like I know other Aquariuses and we're all pretty much the same. And when people get to know me pretty well and then they go, hey, by the way, when's your birthday? And then I go, oh my God, you're Aquarius. Oh my God, everything makes so much sense. Of course you are who you are because blah, 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 blah. We are typecast Aquariuses. Like there's no getting around that. And I do feel like that's probably why we got along so well.
Mm-hmm.
But then touching again on like the just doing like whatever you say you're going to do. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't know how else to live life. Like I didn't wait till now to have a kid on purpose. I'm glad that it happened when it happened because man, holy shit, did I do a lot of stuff. Like I definitely am glad that I didn't have a kid in my 20s. I would have, like you said, if I did, I would have put all my energy into that and I would have raised the best child that I could possibly raise or multiple children or whatever, however it worked out. But it's not changing, like now that the kid is here, like, I put thought into this all the time. Like pretty much all I do is sit around and think about what's it going to be like? Like, what's it going to be like when he's 6 months old, when it's summertime and like, is he going to be big enough to where I can like take him to the park or can I bring him in the Jeep? You know what I mean? Like we were like my wife the other day was like, oh my God, this summer, like is it safe to like drive around in a Jeep with the top down? I was like, not only are we going to drive around with him top down, but the doors aren't going to be on it either. She goes, no, we can't do that. We can't do that. I'm like, we can do that because like, why wouldn't we do that? You know what I mean? Like, it's safe. The vehicle's designed to be driven that way. Or what are we going to do 2 years from now? Am I going to be camping? Is he going to like camping? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is he going to like working on vehicles? Is he going to like making music? Is he going to like all the stuff that I like? And I mean, my father doesn't do any of the stuff that I do. My mother is not into any of the stuff that I'm into either. So it's not like your parents directly influence. I mean, I'm sure for some people they do, but for me, they didn't. Like I do the stuff that I do just because I just let myself be who I'm supposed to be.
Right. Hey guys, so we've actually decided to split this podcast up into 3 different parts. The reason is because it's like 3.5 hours. So we decided to, break it up. So that is the end of this first part and the second part will soon follow. So thank you for watching Trailspin.